healthcare providers are willing to do the research on the science, then we can guide our patients and our athletes to do the right thing. Athletes that are no longer competing in NCAA level or the professional level are using the peptides. My dad was the guy that got me involved in sports, and I'm 58 years old and I'm still involved in sport, which is a really cool.
How do you treat sports athletes?
I spend a lot of time doing, sports medicine psychology. I have to spend a lot of time in the head to get patients and athletes back to feeling good. So I do spend a lot of time there, and I think that's very important for what we do with athletes. My patients hardly ever go to physical therapy anymore because they can do it at home on their own. And we can track if the patient logs in, and so we can use wearables as a way to monitor our patients to make sure their outcomes are going to be at the highest level.
Once people have rehab, are you guys doing like a longevity plan for them to make sure it doesn't happen again?
I believe there are some modes of scale that we can help with the use of AI, with revenue cycle and billing and collecting, and that allows me to be more efficient in taking care of the patients.
Welcome to the Health Signal Podcast, where we make health data make sense. I'm your host, Boris Berian, and on this show, we connect with trusted health experts who help us decode the trends, science, and signals shaping our health. Whether you're optimizing for longevity, managing stress, tracking sleep, or just trying to make smarter decisions in a noisy wellness world, this podcast is your accessible expert. Let's get into it.
Why don't we start with Bus? Tell me about yourself as well. I'd love to learn more.
Well, I appreciate it. So I'm a orthopedic sports medicine physician. I've been in practice in Columbia, Missouri since 2001. So I'm 24 plus years working here in mid-Missouri at a orthopedic group that we've been in practice 60 plus years. And it's interesting. All of a sudden, I was the young guy coming in, and now all of a sudden, I'm the old guy of the group. And they're like, "Well, wait a minute, where all the old guys go?" And it's me. But I'm orthopedic trained and did a fellowship in Birmingham, Alabama, back in 2000 in sports medicine. So I have the really cool job of, I get because arthroscopy. I do arthroscopy, and that's arthroscopic work where I'm looking on a 4K video screen operating inside the the shoulder or the knee or the hip or the elbow, whatever joint I'm taking care of. So I get to play video games during the day, and then at night I get to go to sporting events and sit on the sideline or on the bench, get to walk into these sporting events I don't have to pay for. I just get it. So I play video games during the day and watch sporting events at night. So I have a blessed practice. Yes.
I think if we go into the mind of every 14 to 16-year-old boy on earth, that is legitimately their dream job.
Well, it is true. It's amazing. I grew up in Colorado and played ball. My dad was the guy that got me involved in sports, and my whole world revolved around playing ball. I mean, I was year round in multiple sports, and then you get older. I'm 58 years old and I'm still involved in sport, which is a really cool job. I was talking to my partner who did the 96 Olympics and 2000 Olympics, and the Mia Hamm, those ladies that won gold medals back then. He was the team doc for them. We were just talking stories about when he was covering the US Olympics. And so it's, here we're opportunity to still be involved with sports is a really a neat opportunity for us.
That's amazing. Maybe walk me through, how do you treat sports athletes? Like, what's your process? Has it evolved over the years since you've been in the industry a long time? And if yet, how so?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I have athletes that really range from, the just beginning out in sports, the little elementary school kids, the junior high kids, high school kids, the collegiate level kids, the Olympic level professional athletes. I really have had the opportunity to take care of all. And 24 plus years into practice, quite honestly, to do the ACL, you got Lindsey Vonn now with the big news with her ACL tear that she's going to compete in the Olympics this week or next week. And to do and this, probably my sports medicine colleagues are going to hate me, but to do the procedure to do what we do is really not that difficult. I mean, it's just what we do. We've done it forever and ever, and we can do that. That's the easy part. The hard part is actually, I tell my patients this, the hard part is actually to get into the mind space and to get the headspace ready to compete again. I mean, I have an athlete that hopefully will be in the Summer Olympics coming up and had a recent injury that we took care of a year ago. We're getting him back, and we had a phone conversation with today. It's to get them back to the level of where they want to compete at and not worry about the injured joint. And that's the hardest thing. So I spend a lot of time doing, sports medicine psychology. I have to spend a lot of time in the head to get patients and athletes back to feeling good. Because when you're running up and down the court or on the field or on the wrestling mat or, Lindsey Vonn coming down his, ski slope, you don't want to be worrying about your joint. You got to be worrying about what you're doing. And so I do spend a lot of time there. And I think that's very important for what we do with athletes,
Yeah. So what's your approach to get them in the right headspace? Are you doing consulting? Are you doing psychological work? How are you?
I just talk about it. I'm just a guy I don't have much of a filter, and so I'll just bring it up. And when I have like a young gal yesterday, a pretty talented volleyball player, and we're going to have to get her back. And, it's a big ordeal to go through, just fixed her knee yesterday, big ordeal. I just bring it up at the beginning and I tell the parents, okay, you're going to love on her. I'm going to beat on her here a little bit to get her back. And then we're going to work together, but I'm going to spend a lot of time getting her prepared mentally to return. And so I talk about it all the time. I'm just very open and honest about that part of it, which I think is important because, when an athlete goes down, they may think they'll never participate again. I mean, I'm an elite level athlete and I just tore my ACL or tore my shoulder. How am I ever going to compete at that level again? I mean, that's a scary thing. I mean, a lot of their identities are based on the sport that they've done. So it's pretty interesting.
Gotcha. Is there a point where you see it like in their eyes or their physiology, or that they're ready again as you're talking them through it?
I think, and you have to ask the question: is how do you feel? You need to go back. You're playing basketball. Let's get you back shooting around a little bit, but I don't want you to play any one-on-one. Then I talk about, well, what have you done? Because most folks, when they come back to see me the next month, they say, well, how'd you do when you're playing with one of your teammates? Because I told them not to, but I know they will, right? Because they're going to test a little bit. And so it's my trick question. And they go, well, I did okay. Okay, that's fine. So they're mentally, they're starting to come back on their own.
Yeah.
So that's just ways in which I'm able to kind of sort that out, I guess, is what, but it's what makes practicing medicine the art, right? It's why we do what we do to get folks back to, where they want to be. So it's, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Is there other things that you incorporate with your athletes outside of, obviously you do a surgery, and then what part of the rehab are you using? Wearables, peptides?
Oh, that's great.
Like what's maybe where are you at now versus what you guys used to do, and has it evolved?
That's a great question. And you gave me some questions here as kind of healthcare innovation. When I started in practice in 2001, I used to do an ACL reconstruction, and my patients would spend a night in the hospital overnight. I just kept them overnight because it felt like the right thing to do for pain control and all that. Now, my patients come in, they do the surgery, they go home the same day within about an hour after leaving the OR, and they're already starting the rehab process. After my big surgeries, I have them start therapy the very next day to start working through it. In my mind, you're no longer injured. Now you're healing. And so we've crossed through that threshold. And so I'm very aggressive with my therapy in all the different procedures I do as a surgeon. One thing that we have done, I think, you mentioned wearables. I think technology has been advantageous. I have my Whoop on and I have my Apple Watch, and I think you have your device. If patients and I think in this technology advancing world, the younger generations are used to being on the grid and getting information. I'm a scientist. I love data. So I'm working out and I want as much information as I can get. And I try to incorporate that into my patients as well. I use a patient reported outcome platform. Every one of my operative patients that I do sign up for this platform. It's a third-party company, Force Therapeutics, and they get an email, and my patients can log in, and they get. I built a video library for rehab, and so like just a regular knee arthroscopy, my patients hardly ever go to physical therapy anymore because they can do it at home on their own, and they can log in and they check in, and we can track if the patient logs in and links their Apple iPhone or whatever, Android or Apple Watch, we can track steps. I can follow, some of my total joint partners that do joint replacement. They can now track the number of steps the patients are getting after surgery. So we can use wearables as a way to monitor our patients to make sure their outcomes are going to be at the highest level. And so the wearables that we're seeing now and hitting the market at an alarming rate. There's a lot of wearables out there, and a lot of opportunities and different apps that are used now in healthcare that are all, I think, in my mind, are beneficial. And so I always promote that. I'm an old guy, but I promote the use of technology. I mean, if it's going to be there, let's use it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Walk me through maybe how do you approach nutrition during rehab, or even prior to, are you guys optimizing nutrition for them and while they're recovering pre-surgery, and how does that differ?
Yeah, that's a great question. We talk healthcare a little bit. One of I believe the downfalls in my medical education is the nutrition aspect. We have not, as physicians, we don't spend a lot of time learning nutrition. The nutrition that I know, I self-taught. I dug in. I wanted to, when I'm working out or competing or doing, I want to be at the top. And also then I have all these athletes that need it. And so I spent the time to dig into different guys, the Ben Greenfields, like you talked about, or the Saladinos and the other guys that are right now out there in the market, promoting this. And I think it's, the Gary Breckes, I think it's super important. And so as physicians, medical education does not do a good job of doing that. So I really self-taught. And then I have my athletes that ask that very same question. And I think, the majority of the younger athletes have pretty good nutrition. It's when I take care of my older athletes, my Medicare, my sports Medicare practice, when my 76-year-old female playing pickleball has torn her rotator cuff. What kind of nutritional aspects, do we have? We have our own pharmacy, and we have some different products that we can sell. My spine partners and my total joint partners use it more than what I do because they have, much bigger procedures, but we do have nutritional supplements in our pharmacy. I think you made the comment about the peptides. It's interesting. I've had some athletes asking about peptides, and I went and learned about peptides, and I think it's the U.S., the WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, in the U.S. Anti-Doping, all that monitors our athletes. Right now, it's not approved to do that. So we got to be very careful when I educate my athletes, and so we have to talk through that. And it's interesting though. I've not ever had peptides, but some of my athletes that are no longer competing at NCAA level or the professional level are using the peptides. Discuss the how they feel better and making the recovery better. And I think supplements, obviously, it's a $1 gajillion unregulated industry every year. But if there's some good supplements out there, and if patients and athletes and physicians and healthcare providers are willing to do the research on the science, then we can guide our patients and our athletes to do the right thing. So there's a lot of bad stuff out there, and you got to make sure you do the research.
Yep. No, that's awesome. walk me through maybe the best thing now would be once people have rehab, are you guys doing like a longevity plan for them to make sure it doesn't happen again, or preventative, or what does that look like?
It's interesting. There's been one of my colleagues has talked about that has added after a rehab program after therapy to complete the rehab process, and it's a really good idea. And I think we don't have anything formally done.
Yeah.
I think that aspect to open up a sports performance center. We have in our group, we're a 30 orthopedic group practice. We have primary care. We have a number of different aspects of our group. But to get into, and I think what we have looked at in our group to continue to be a leader in the industry in musculoskeletal care, we're an independent practice. We want to stay that. But to be a leader, we need to really embrace the entire MSK musculoskeletal spectrum. So I think as physicians, historically, to talk about chiropractic care is always, I can't do that. Well, I don't believe that. I think we have all our colleagues, chiropractic care, massage therapy, physical therapy, all these functional medicine and functional rehab colleagues that can really, finish off a young athlete or an old athlete so they can continue to obtain the goals that they want to get. And I think using those colleagues to round out the continuum of care is very important for our patients, our athletes. Absolutely.
Awesome. Do you use those practitioners yourself?
I have. Yes, absolutely. I'm 58. And so, a former athlete, I still think in my head, I'm actually 18. My wife probably thinks I act like a 13-year-old at times, probably more times than not. But, yeah, I think, the benefit of all that, the newer technologies that we're seeing, around in like the red light therapies and some of these other recovery modalities, shockwave or the all that stuff is very intriguing to me. I'm not sure I completely understand the science behind it, but
yeah,
when I've had a soft tissue injury, I have a little portable red light therapy unit, and I got a year ago, I was covering a high school football game, and first time ever in my entire career, I got taken out on the sideline. I didn't go down, but the play came into me, and I was trapped amongst all the athletes, and I couldn't escape, and I kind of got pushed back and popped my hamstring, and man, it was horrible. And I went home and pulled out the red light therapy unit I gave my wife for her birthday, and put it on my hamstring for about a week straight, and man, I recovered in a hurry, and I have to use that as it helped. Something helped. And so, I do have a red light sauna in my basement, and I go sit in that because
nice.
I still want to be young and active.
Amazing. I love that. We're in our final kind of segment here. So I'd love to dive into how do you personally, stay in shape? Like what's your protocol? What's your routine look like, given that you take care of everybody else? How do you take care of yourself?
That is a great question. So, in 2020, actually 2018, we got into, I'm a short, slow guy. And so I'm kind of a fast twitch guy, not a slow twitch guy. So, but I started running a little more than I used to and trying to lose weight, get back into shape. And we did, my wife and daughter, we did a bunch of the Disney half marathons. January 2020, we did the Dopey. I don't know if you ever heard of that. The Dopey challenge. It's a 5K on Thursday, a 10K on Friday, a half marathon on Saturday, and a full marathon on Sunday. Yeah. And so we did that. Damn. I lost 5 toenails that weekend. It was brutal. It was brutal, but then as my role, I'm the president of our orthopedic group here, and so as my administrative role has picked up, the time available for me to work out has diminished. And so I've put on weight. I'm not as in good a shape as I am. And that's why son-in-law, who's a big time CrossFitter, got me on a whoop, said, you got to start working out, buddy. So So my New Year's resolution was to, and I don't do a New Year's resolution. I just pick one word. And a year ago, my word was to reset, try to reset my priorities, and I failed. I didn't do a good job. So this year it's reorganize.
Yeah.
Really another word for reset, to reorganize, to get my what I needed to get in line. So one of that is to get back into working out. So I've been working out with a functional movement guy that's working, strength training, and I do I have a row machine in my house and a Peloton, so I try to get some of the cardio done. And so I'm trying to do it. I always tell my patients, if you can work out 3 days a week, that's pretty good. If I tell you to go home and work out 7 days a week, and about the second day you're going to fail, because something's going to come up, you're not going to get the workout in. You're like, oh man, I missed it. I'll just do it tomorrow. Well, then you miss the next day. Then you miss the next day, because it's all of a sudden now you're a failure, and then you don't feel good about yourself, and so you lose. So my goal is a 3-day a week regimen. It's less than half the week, and so if we can work out 3 days a week, that works out pretty good. It's really every other day. So I'm trying to get that regimen done and still be lead my group in the organization as well. But that's what I try to do: get a little cardio in, try to eat a little better, right? And all the stuff that the Gary Breckes and those guys, those supplements are guiding me to do. So yes, that's right.
Nice. That's awesome. Last thing would be, how do you see your practice evolving over time? Is there anything that you're excited about, like AI wise? And on the flip side, what are the biggest challenges you have in your practice right now? And what does it look like?
I think we are an independent practice, and if you follow any of the stuff I've done, there's a group of independent orthopedic practices called the Ortho Forum. We're a member of that. I actually sit on that board, and I'll stand on any platform and talk about the value of independent practice. It used to be, the old word was private practice. I don't like that word because I want to be independent. Private means I can't really talk to the next guy. Yeah. Independent. So when I came out of medical school and started my residency, or when I came out after my residency and my sports medicine fellowship, 75% of physicians that came out at that time were going into independent practice. 25 went into a healthcare system, a university or some system. In 2025, that number switched. It's now 75% of those physicians are going into a system. They're being employed by a hospital system. 25% remain independent, and I believe that's the employed physician. It works for some, but we are losing some of our autonomy, and it's really driving the cost of medicine through the roof. And I believe we can provide better care for our patients in the independent practice model. But in order to do that, we have to make sure the independent practices all across the country, in mid-Missouri and all across country, that we remain in a way that we can collaborate and continue to help each other out. Is very, very important. So in my world, when practices such as ours can get bought up by private equity, we're trying to hold that back and continue to try to survive in a world that really the federal government and the hospital association and all these powers that be are trying to squeeze out the independent practitioner, trying to squeeze out groups like ours to remain independent. They're trying to get this vertical alignment of care, which in reality is not good for the patient because it drives up the cost of medicine. So in my world, I'm trying to keep that. I believe, you asked about technology. I believe there are some modes of scale, or some scale that we can help with the use of AI, with revenue cycle and billing and collecting. Can I use AI scribe in my clinic to transcribe the interaction that you as a patient and me as the physician have done? And that allows me to be more efficient in taking care of the patients. And that way I can see more patients and take good care of them. And that's where I see technology really, really moving in. The AI scribes is almost it's almost there. If we can get them to, do the orders and kind of click the boxes that we have to click to to keep all the regulatory measures in check. I think that's
Yeah.
important, but that's where I really see an opportunity in healthcare.
Okay, awesome. And then last thing would be what are your biggest challenges right now in your practice?
The biggest challenges?
Yeah.
The biggest challenges, we're a large group and growing, and the biggest challenges are with each year, the reimbursement from, what you hear about the CMS or the Medicare reimbursement keeps getting cut. And we've taken another 3 or 4% cut every year for the last several years, and that the income is dropping. The ability to provide the services with revenue is dropping. On the other hand, we're getting squeezed because inflation continues to rise, and my employees and want to continue to get their raises and continue to grow, and that the cost of doing business was rising. So that delta that we live in is getting squeezed. And so we have to be agile. We have to have the ability to, continue to grow our group and try to continue to cost contain and keep our overheads low. And that's what's very difficult in a single independent practice group. That's why we've reached out and we brought in some primary care physicians that were in our area that were really struggling, and we brought them under our machine because we have the revenue cycle and all the stuff put together already. So we brought in an anesthesia group. We brought in interventional radiology. We brought in a bunch of different physicians in our area to help them to survive this because that squeeze from the top and the bottom. But that's okay. We'll survive and continue to grow. But that's the biggest change that we find as independent, practitioners. As you see the growth of all these big mega, United Healthcares, although they're taking a hit, but the Blue Crosses and the Aetnas and all these big huge companies. So yes.
Gotcha. Cool.
But I can stand on that soapbox forever and speak. So
Yeah, no, appreciate that. And then how much of your practice is now cash based versus insurance given that issue?
That's for us, we're still a primarily an insurance based practice. We do have we do it. What's interesting and we're in the January, February's of the year when a lot of patients have these high deductible plans, $5,000 and $6,000 deductibles, and you just don't have that money lying around. And it's interesting. Sometimes they just want to pay cash because with the cash rate ultimately is different than the contractual rate I have with their insurance company. So
Yeah.
we'll see some folks try to move into a cash model. In orthopedics, we're pretty insurance heavy. If we're in a plastic surgery or another model where there's more cash based, some of the orthodontic work or some of that is cash based, but in orthopedics we're still highly insurance based or
Yep, makes sense. Awesome.
yeah.
Cool, Bus. I think that's time. I'm going to give you a chance to share with everybody where they can connect with you, see your work, and interact with you. What would be the best place to give people?
Yeah, I'm at the Columbia Orthopedic Group in Columbia, Missouri. I'm on LinkedIn. That's where you found me, and just reach out. I do have an X account, COG Bus.
Nice.
But absolutely, I'm always love to speak, and I've listened to some of your podcasts, the stuff you have. I really appreciate your platform here with what you're doing. It's just a wide range of folks in healthcare, and I just love what you're doing. So it's really cool. But yeah, please reach out. I'm on LinkedIn or wherever. Yeah.
Thanks, Bus. Appreciate it. Cool. We'll cut it there, man. Awesome. You were great. I really appreciate it.
Well, good. Well, I appreciate it. This was fun. I think what you're doing is great. I think we have to everything you're asked about. The supplements and nutritional help is super important. It's all this big, huge aspect of healthcare that historically has been lost.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
So your platform is, and what you're doing with the people you're bringing on is awesome. I hope I can help that, but yeah, I think this is great.
Well, I was gonna say, if you're open to another call, just to see, I'd love to learn more about like get the nitty gritty of your practice's problems.
Yeah.
So building a lot of AI solutions, and if there's a way that we can actually integrate, great. If not, it's still important for us to learn like what practices are going through and how can we solve those problems.
So tell me,
Yeah.
with your company, Thea, you have your continuous glucose monitor stuff. How do you? I was looking at this morning or the other day.
Yeah.
To partner with it. What is that? I click on that box and I partner with you. What does that mean?
Yeah. So essentially, we're for cash-based practice, so that particular module right now might not be applicable to you because your patients would have to pay out of pocket for the sensors. But the way it works is we partner with you, and now you can sell sensors to your patients. You get a commission because we're B2B only. We don't sell to consumers. We ship the sensors to them. We prescribe them. We do the pharmacy fees. They put them on. They get onboarded to our app, and then they start logging what they're doing, and we show how their body responds. Right. So what we do is we give a daily metabolic score, which is as the biodata is coming in, we're showing them 0 to 100. How is your body doing every single minute? Think of that like a check engine light for the body.
Yeah.
Secondly, whenever you log something, after 3 hours, we look at your body's response and we say, this performed well for you, mediocre, or is there room for improvement? And so it really personalizes how they're making decisions. So when we do work with practitioners, they get a back-end view of all this data. So when they're meeting with you, you're like, hey, I saw your diet is off, it's not working, so here's how we can patch that up. What would be probably more interesting conversation is we came out with the AI nutrition as a standalone. So you just take pictures of your photos, it uploads your macronutrients, micronutrients, and ingredients, and it correlates towards your caloric goal for the day.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. You just take a picture, or you tell our AI what's going on. Now that's something that's applicable to pretty much everybody, right? Because they can track their nutrition intake. So, I don't know if any of those resonate with you, but I thought maybe the nutrition aspect at the very least would. And on the back end of that product, we do upsell sensors for you, right? So people are logging in nutrition. We're like, hey, if you want to see how your body responds to this, you can buy a sensor anytime, right? And that's nothing on your end to do administratively, but just profit and data.
So is this, are you using CGM, continuous glucose monitoring, and what device do you use?
So we send out I can pull up a little presentation.
I'd like to try this. I like to try this myself because as I've gotten older, my glucose pre-diabetic and trying to work my way out of that again, right? And so I would love to.
Sure. Yeah, we can make that happen. So the ones that we send out are the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Yeah.
There's a bunch in the market. This is our go-to for a couple different reasons. One is it's the smallest one on the market, so it's these two pennies stacked together. Very small footprint. You can put it on your arm or belly if you want. It might seem like this is not a huge issue, but the smaller the better because people will hit it off when they're showering, exercising, working out, right? They are FDA approved, so companies try to pitch me all the time. Their technology is not even close to on par. These ones last 15 days. They used to last only 14.
Yeah.
The sensors themselves are waterproof, so swimming, saunas, cold plunges, whatever it is that you're doing, sweat, showers, is totally okay. The device itself, it does not hurt. I think there's a misconception. There's a needle going into your arm and the needle stays there. The needle's there for like a half of a split of a second to get a filament in. And then the filament is...
Oh, yeah, there's a later. Yeah.
Yeah, so the filament, because you're moving around, it's bendy. It just becomes part of your arm. So this is the one that as a standard that we send out because it's the best on the market. We do integrate other ones, but there's really no reason other than the best. As more come, we integrate. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I think maybe if we want to set up another call and I'll come with some questions on your end, I can give you a live demo and go through all of this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, let's set that up. That sounds good.
Okay, cool. What's your schedule like next week?
Well, let me pull that up.
Yeah.
So next week, what are you thinking?
How's Tuesday 2:30 Eastern?
I'll be in surgery. I'll be in surgery till late then.
Okay.
You want to do another Friday call?
We can do Friday, yeah. What time is
You want to do it again this time or so? Or is this a good time?
Yeah, I can do that. Fridays are good for you, huh?
Yeah, I do. I have a clinic in the morning, and Friday afternoon is kind of my admin, and so it's time to do all this stuff. So yeah,
Okay.
we can go 1:00 Central or whatever you want to do. I'm usually done with clinic around 12 noon Central.
Okay, cool. I'll do this exact time, and then that way, yeah, you're good. So I'm gonna put it in right now. 2:30. Where are you at?
Where are you located, Boris?
I'm currently in Toronto for the time being, but I travel New York, San Francisco, and Toronto. Yeah. So, because my co-founder's in San Francisco, and frankly, I like New York a lot. So, we have a lot of business that we do there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. That would be great.
Okay.
Look forward to it.
Okay, awesome. And then, is there anything specifically that would be interest of you that Thea has to offer, given my quick rundown, that I could kind of prepare ahead of time?
Well, I think this is interesting, as you know, that's why I've asked about this monitor and the other platforms you have, that you're trying to grow into the AI model, correct?
Yeah.
You try different avenues. We working with a AI company for phone. I don't know if you've heard of the Sword Health. I know those guys, and they're a phone answering AI company.
Yep.
We've got some trying to incorporate some back in our revenue cycle aspect. The aspect of healthcare is all about codes. It's all about billing. And yet the insurance company you're not a patient. You're a code. You're not an injured knee. You're a whatever the code is, the ICD-10 code. And so it's very disheartening for that. But that's the way they've done it for us. And so we have to live in that space. And so if so we have to, it's easy, then let the computers, let some agent do all that background, make sure our bills go out correctly. So that's what we've used it. I think, I'd love to see your whole product. Cool. And I'd love to understand what you're doing and help out any way I can, guide you in what we do. So that'd be great.
Awesome. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's do that. And looking forward to it. Thanks again for being on the podcast. We're gonna edit everything, get it ready, and email you when it's done.
Sounds good, Boris.
Thanks,
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
That's it for this episode of The Health Signal. We hope you're leaving with one small insight you can use and one big idea to explore. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow the Health Signal podcast and leave us a review if it helped simplify something complex. To learn more about how Thea is helping providers and patients make data-driven health decisions, visit theahealth.ai or check out the links in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.